Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm Risa.
And I am Ariana.
And we're the Krolmeister sisters. As a reminder, this podcast is rated T for teen for strong language and mature themes.
If you don't like that, well, I don't know what to do with you. But you can go listen to Tammy Tucky's podcast, Unlocked, and there are a bunch of other, actually, Nancy Drew podcasts. I don't know how many of them are family-friendly, but I'm sure they're out there. Just look around you.
Yeah.
Look around you.
Look around you. So what are we going to talk about today, sister?
Today we are hollering at her. Hey, her. Where are all the queer folks at? Fuck, I fucked it up.
It's okay. So yeah, we had a fan reach out with a bunch of ideas for podcast topics, and we grabbed one, which is one of my faves because it says, right, it's Melted Joan Cusack, who, this one was fantastic because it has, we're all a little fruity in the Nancy Drew community, and I loved that. So we are doing an episode about the queer representation in the Nancy Drew games. So,
and why there should be more of it.
And why there should be more. Because, yeah.
But yes, also, happy start of Pride Month.
Which
we're recording this on June 4th.
Is it June 4th already? Jesus fucking Christ.
It is June 4th.
So, let's talk. Let's talk queer representation, right? It's Pride Month. And we're here to ask, where the fuck are the queer people in the games? Because I did some research, and in 2022, about 8% of the U.S. population identified as part of the LGBTQ community. So, where are they? We have 153 characters in the Nancy Drew games. Just the regular point and clicks, not including the hidden object games. Just the Nancy Drew PC games, 153 characters.
That can't be right.
One of them is canonically queer.
That's fucking insane.
And it's never said out loud. It is only in text messages that you don't have to read for the story.
I think I have so many queer headcanons that seems like absolutely bonkers to me, because I'm like, no, we've got plenty.
Yeah, there's totally loads. I mean,
totally.
We'll talk about them in a minute. But we have one single queer character. Another thing to note is that about 1% of U.S. Americans identify as trans or non-binary, anything under the trans umbrella, and there's none of that in the games. Despite the fact that there should be, at least statistically, there should be at least one.
Mm-hmm.
At least. Just at least. So, yeah, let's talk about, is any rep good rep? I have this, in full, it's another one of those episodes
this
where
is Reese's TED Talk.
Yeah, that I wrote an entire, paper on, and now we're just gonna go through it. But the question is all rep good rep? And the answer to that is no.
Not at all.
Right? Let's talk about Dagny, as our canonically queer character. Dagny is, some would say, a piece of shit. I adore the character. Don't get me wrong. However...
But Risa has bad taste in women because she's also in love with Xenia.
I'm not in love with Xenia. I just find her hot. It's different. But Dagny is just when you get down to it, her personality traits are capitalist, ruthless capitalist. That is her personality. She's a treasure hunter. She is basically will hire mercenaries, as far as I can tell. Like, this woman is not a good person.
No.
And it's no wonder her wife left her.
Yeah. I mean, they really go so far to make
you not like her.
Yeah.
Just, she's very specific. I don't know. But I'm like, she's very specific. Yes, Risa.
Why, yes.
That is a word you could use. But it's just interesting to me.
But specifically, how is she specific?
It's interesting to me that our only canon queer character in the games is a bad person. And the other person who is alluded to in that same game, Soren is alluded to being queer, but it's not actually stated, is also the fucking culprit.
Yeah.
So, is this on purpose? I don't know. However, this really strikes me as, like, feeling very reminiscent of the Hays Code. If you guys don't know what the Hays Code is, we talked about it in several episodes now, because apparently that's who we are and we discuss film history. So it was a field code that was in effect for quite a while, where specific things of, like, indecency and stuff like that had to, in the story, get some kind of consequence to their actions. So if someone was, if they were specifically, like, queer, they had to either, like, repent for their ways or die. Or just be, like, a super, like, you can tell they're the bad guy. If there was, like, infidelity in a marriage, same thing would have to happen. Consequences had to come, like, from this immoral thing. Which is where we get the barrier gaze trope. Because if gay people are in any way happy at the end of the story, they have to die. Basically. Yep. So, to me, that's where it is, that's how it feels to me. It's very reminiscent of that. We have Dagny and Soren, right? Both of them are shown to be bad people and get their comeuppance. Now, do queer characters have to be good people to be good queer rep? By the way, I'm just gonna come back out at this for a second and say that we're using queer as a specific umbrella term, because I'm not going to stand here and say every single time from the LGBTQ plus community. Yeah. Because Q is already there. It's in it. So we're just going to use queer as an umbrella term, because that is how I, as a queer person, have been able to reclaim it. So I'm sorry if you have uncomfortable feelings about the word queer. It is still something that I take as my identity. So I'm not going to hear any weird discourse on that in the comments. I'm cutting it out right now. But do they have to be good people to be good queer rep? And the answer to that is, of course not. No. Because there can be shitty people who are also trans, who are also gay, who are also non-binary, who are also... All of these people can be awful people and still be, good rep. But when your only representation of queer people are the villain and the ruthless treasure hunter, like, that's an issue.
Yeah, it is one of the things that honestly genuinely concerns me about her interactive. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I know I try to be glib most of the time, but honestly, it is something that really worries me, because it's like, it is a certain level of conservative that makes me wary of what's going to be in there.
If they're courting that conservative audience by catering to them and not showing real people who exist and are also fans. Yeah. It's uncomfortable. Especially when you add in the fact that the Her Interactive official Twitter page is still following JKR on Twitter. So please at them for that and tell them, hey, knock it off. Because I think they muted me. So they didn't block me, but I'm pretty sure they just muted me. So yeah,
fine, I'll start doing it.
That is honestly part of the issue in the way that they are, like, it could be seen as benign, right? If there wasn't that background. Like, just like, oh no, we just didn't think to include gay characters because we're not gay, and so we forget they exist when they're not right in front of my face.
Like people seem to do for some reason.
Yeah. So that would be one thing. But when you take into account the fact that the forums for the games were incredibly conservative Christian for years, to the extent of, like, you just couldn't say the word homosexual on the forums and stuff. You were banned. Yeah. Not that we would know, because they wouldn't let us fucking join the the forums. It wouldn't accept our email addresses every time we tried to do it. Rude. But
it wasn't our fault. Our father had his own domain.
Yeah. But yeah, once you take that into account and then see who they're catering to, that's when it becomes more... I'm not going to say nefarious, but...
problematic, to say the least.
It feels malicious a bit.
Yeah.
That's just me, though. But... yeah, that's what we have for actual rep. So, you may be asking the question, as many people in chat did bring up, but Risa, does queer coding count? And the answer to that is... No. No. If it's not in the text, you don't get to try and collect any kind of pennies for it. You know what I mean? Like, it's really cool if there is a queer person on the crew who has coded this person with queer, like, mannerisms and stuff. That's awesome. That's that person being able to get that out there. That's not what we see, though. What is queer coding is probably something people are asking. I'm sorry, sister. You were going to say something.
Oh, no. I was just going to say that, but it'll come along with you explaining what queer coding is. So go for that first.
Okay. What is queer coding? Queer coding is when a character is not in text queer. However, they're given the attributes, mannerisms, and stereotypes of queer people. So... it is people who can be easily read as queer, but are not in text, like, verified. Checkmark. So,
check.
When you think... It can be a double-edged sword, right? Because on one hand, you can see where being able to read yourself into a character and having... the creators get away with it because against any kind of conservative backlash, because it's more like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, right? That's awesome. You know
what I mean.
However, the other edge of it is it's then used a lot about queer coding villains. And namely, think about Disney villains. Just think about Disney villains right now from the 80s onwards, right? I can think of 2 of those villains who are definitely straight. And it's Gaston, and it's, what's his name? From
Frollo.
Frollo.
Yep.
I even wrote it down correctly.
Fucking
it's like...
wants to bone Esmeralda.
It's true. He is like the epitome of just Not even gonna go into him. Not even gonna go into that. But, like, you think about them. Ursula. Like, coded as a drag queen. Jafar is coded as vaguely queer, in my opinion. Scar is definitely giving off gay uncle vibes.
Oh, yeah.
The Disney villain modeled after a drag queen? I know, you guys are... It's crazy to say. Hades, also, I would say, is queer-coded. It's just...
And unfortunately, the things that make them queer-coded are then, like, stereotypes.
Yeah, and...
Which are harmful
and
inaccurate and I mean, having, you know, like, been friends with people who are gay and then, like, they have to change their personality to fit it because that's what they see.
Yeah. There were, especially when we were teenagers. Yeah. That was...
Oh, yeah, specifically when we were teenagers is what I'm thinking of.
But, yeah, they are often the villains, is what I'm trying to say. But queer coding is also an issue when it comes to this kind of thing, when you have... like, honestly, Disney is another thing where they have a bunch of conservative Christian fans who are on... majority are homophobic. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat that.
No.
A lot of them are homophobic. And queer fans are then having to defend their positions on why this character reflects them. Why they can find themselves in that character. You see a lot of the same thing happening, side note, with characters with disabilities. Like the amount of people who got really, really nasty when people were saying that they, as autistic people, felt like they saw themselves in Sunny in Shattered Medallion, and then having the huge backlash of people talking about just how awful he was as a character and annoying and terrible, and then list all of these things that are, like, more or less autistic traits.
Yes.
Like, that becomes an issue when you have that kind of backlash, and those fans did not feel good. So you get the same thing happening with, like, that was just my, here's the Nancy Drew drama you probably knew about.
Right. And then there's like Mason.
Oh, yes.
Who we're supposed to think that he's just an asshole for having the... And they play it up and make him, like, grating about it, but it's like, these are legitimate things to be upset about.
Yeah.
Like, if you're that way, you know?
It's played for laughs, and it doesn't feel good.
No. And
the same thing happens with queer coding, right? You see yourself on screen, and it is not a nice picture.
Yeah.
Like, that, I think the majority of people who have that, like, trans women, sadly, like, that's usually the first time they see a trans woman specifically on screen is going to be for a joke. It's going to be for a trans misogynist joke. Like, which is awful. And that's why it's so important to have actual canonical in-text
representation.
Yes.
Just representation. Just fucking state this person has this, or is this, likes this, what the fuck ever. You just have to actually implement it.
Yeah.
Have them talk about someone. It doesn't have to be like you have them say, "Oh, and I'm gay." It can just be, "Oh yeah, no, when I was in middle school, I had this boyfriend and he was just so like
anything. My last girlfriend said this about me." Like, literally, it just has to be like that. And I think that's where we get into the how do you include good representation? And that is specifically saying it, right?
Right.
And
committing to it.
Yes, commit to it instead of just alluding to it. Like, I still don't know, with Soren, was he alluded to being ace or gay? I can't remember. Like, it's so offhanded that I literally just...
And then, as we said, fucking Dagny, you don't even have to read the text messages to continue the game.
Yeah, so you can totally
it literally is nothing.
It's pretty much just like, oh, tell Alicia, or it was like the last name things. Oh, Alicia left. Like, that there. Mm-hmm. That is, blink and you miss it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, at least it's then putting it in text. And that's literally just how
low the bar is set. Yes. Honestly.
Like, honestly.
You are more than willing to go out of your way to make a character look straight. So why can't you just state?
Yeah.
In I don't know. It seems bonkers to me.
That there's still, after 20 some years of the games, that we still only have one singular queer person. That's ridiculous. It's 2022. Like, this is not acceptable.
No.
Like, it's just absolutely unacceptable.
And I think that is where we get into a lot of problems with her, is that they have not changed.
No.
Since the 90s, when they started making the games. So, I think a good way to actually have queer representation in the games is to have younger queer writers.
Yeah.
Like, and allow them to just, if you're fucking uncomfortable as a heterosexual doing it, then fucking step aside, motherfucker.
And I mean, you should anyway. You should be including these other voices on your staff.
Yeah.
Like, on your writing team, as a, like, character designer, as either of those things are, like, crucial in doing it. Because just having straight people and cisgender, I was going to say cishet, but I already said straight, didn't I? But you shouldn't
the cishets are everywhere.
The cishets are everywhere. If you're going to have some allo cishet person, we'll just say that. Because apparently I cannot say the word cisgender. Cisgender.
You don't have to, like, make it all together. You can go cisgendered.
But that's not a D at the end.
Okay, fine. Cisgender. Think of it that way, though.
Cisgender.
Cisgender. I kind of choked on the G there.
Anyway. Yeah, apparently we cannot say that word. But if you're gonna only have those people write queer... Those people. You know what I mean.
The straights.
The straights. When you have the straights write queer characters, it's gonna be shitty. Like, it's just most likely gonna be shitty. Like, I don't know what to tell you here.
Yeah.
I think it's just so important to have queer people on these teams, because then we actually can get things like, you know how The Sims, they just did a whole update to the game where they made it so that you can change your Sims pronouns.
Mm-hmm.
And part of how that got there was from the entire, like, not the entire fan base, but a large portion of the fan base coming together and writing a petition and having this whole campaign, and then having non-binary people on the inside actually push to make it real. And then it did. It came out, and it's so amazing to me because, like, I can just put down they, them pronouns for myself now. Like, that's so awesome. So, when you have those queer people on the teams, you're gonna get that kind of thing for the fans who really enjoy that. Like, that's amazing to be able to see yourself like that. Yeah. And all it took was just, like, us being able to say they, them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's really that simple.
It really, really is. It really is.
Just... I don't know. I got way off track.
No,
but
not really.
It was because I was saying that when you have queer people on the teams on the inside, they're able to help do things for queer fans. There's where I was going.
Yes, exactly. It's inclusion in general is just, it's necessary in order to tell stories. You need to have people with different viewpoints on situations in order to actually tell a full story.
Yeah. A successful one. A successful story.
Yeah. It just... In order for it to not be bland, and in order for it to not be, like...
insensitive.
Just... I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now that we're done with all of that.
Now that we've depressed ourselves.
You guys may be asking, who do we currently headcanon as queer? Or what characters would you have loved to be explicitly queer? Which is what chat says instead of the question I came up with to ask ourselves, which is basically the same. So I'm really liking that chat has been...
Chat's in sync with you tonight.
In sync with us. And I really hope that people listening to the podcast are also getting to these moments and going, but what about... I really hope that's what's happening.
I love doing that when I'm listening to a podcast or a video or something, and I'm like, okay, but what about this and this? And then, like, and they'll say, several seconds later, they're like, okay, and I'm sure you're asking, now what about this and this? I'm like, I absolutely was, thank you. I feel so heard.
But we're so glad you asked.
I'm so glad.
So, first off, I'm going to say Deirdre. Deirdre is she's bi. She's bi. Yeah. But she and Nancy are girlfriends in Midnight in Salem, and you cannot convince me otherwise.
That was a date.
There was nothing straight about that situation.
Yeah. No. Not in the slightest. It was honestly the only redeeming quality from that game.
Was the Nancy Deirdre friendship relationship? ? Enemies to friends to lovers.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I'm just saying.
Just let them get there. She's, I assume, breaking up with Ned.
Yeah. I mean, Ned's cheating on her anyway. Or maybe it's going to be a polycule.
What the fuck was that?
We never address it. Who else do we think? Oh. I'm just going to say Sunny, because Sunny is forever going to be... He is non-binary, and he is, I'm gonna say, pansexual.
I would have to assume, honestly.
Yeah.
Let's see. I would be willing to concede George to being a lesbian. However, I primarily like her asexual.
I think she is a lesbian asexual. So she's like homoromantic asexual.
Yeah.
I agree.
There we go.
She's an ace lesbian.
Yes.
She is. I completely agree. I think Katie Firestone is trans.
Yep. Yeah.
She 100%. She's got the trans women I know all chose kind of old lady names. You got lots of Elizabeths and Kates, and you got just that kind of Kathy.
Yeah.
You know? So I feel like Katie really goes there.
Yeah.
And I love to think that her Firestone wasn't her original last name, and when she went to do the name change, she decided to go Firestone as well, because she thought that was awesome, and she's right.
And then she saw it on like a car place, and she went, fuck.
Yeah. But it was afterwards. She didn't know about Firestone until then. She was like, God damn it. I should get out of Snake Horse Harbor. Jenna is also gay. Yes. Jenna is Katie Firestone's ex-girlfriend.
Yes. Yes. As we have said, they have ex's vibe.
They really do. I think that we've said this before, but Alexi from Alibi and Ashes, definitely bi.
You think bi?
Servan, yeah, he really does have that older gay man vibe to him.
He does. Which,
but
to be fair,
I'm going to say
a lot
bi
of men
as well.
settle into anyways.
Yeah. I'm gonna say bi, but heavily leaning into that.
Yeah. I really, no, I'm going to finish my thought and then I'll go to the next thought. See, I'm controlling my ADHD.
Well then, la-ti-da.
No, but I feel like the whole time he's in that chair, I keep wanting him to like talk about like a boyfriend he had in
yes, when
River
he's
Heights.
talking to us about his past. I just wish that there was some kind of like just talking about his other exes, because we learn about his ex-fiancée.
Yeah.
So like we learn about her, so why can't we also learn about all his boyfriends have left him as well afterwards, and nobody thinks he's like
or maybe he, didn't want to be with his fiancée and he just couldn't tell her why, and I don't know.
No, that's valid. Completely valid.
Well, the thought I had to put a pause on was Rose and Abby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're
theater lesbians. Come on.
Yeah.
She was obviously a stage manager, and Abby's obviously an extra who wants to be a character actress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she offers to do anything around the set. She's like, you want me to run the lights then, if I'm not going to be in this scene?
Yeah. Yeah, that's 100% her.
Ryan is Biro Ace. Yeah, I can dig that. Sorry, from the chat.
No, agreed. If someone brought up Mel from Waverly Academy, yes, definitely. She and Leela are childhood girlfriends, and now they've grown apart.
Yeah, because Lena's trying to be straight.
Leela, yeah.
Leela, that's what I meant. I always do that.
I mean, but there's a Lena in one of the games, so
yeah,
it is.
I know.
It's easy to fuck it up.
But yeah, I personally think Mel's got messy bi energy.
Yes, Colton, 100%.
Yes,
he's. I mean, he's gay. He's definitely gay.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's not even like a he's bi And that's
no. I don't think he's into Jessel in that way. I think they have a love for each other that's a very deep friendship, but yeah, we've got a lot of
them. We have an entire episode on it many, many, many years ago, actually, at this point. It's like episode 13 or something. It's like both of us still using really shitty, like,
our little
headset
mics.
Things.
Yeah.
Amazing. Just awful. Completely terrible. But I think those are our big ones right now that we can think of. I mean, obviously, May Perry, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's a lesbian.
Oh, yeah.
She's a baby gay.
Baby gay. I love her so much. I want to protect her from the world.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of the last, like, set of games. Kiri gives off queer in some way.
Yeah. But in a way that you will never get to know.
Exactly.
She's one of the ones where
she's like, I'm part of the community. And you're like, what part? And she says, it's none of your business.
None of your business. And
I was like,
you're
right. You are 100%
and I am not going to fight you on that.
Exactly. Bruno Bolet. Gay uncle.
Yeah.
Actually, no. We decided ace uncle.
Oh, ace. Yeah.
Because he doesn't have any kind of, like...
any romances.
No, of any kind. He just has good friends.
Yeah.
Which, and the love for his great nephew, who he just does not understand how to interact with at all.
Yeah.
But still had a lot of love for him. And that, it's lovely. There's one more that I was going to say. From a more recent game.
Oh, a more recent game. Were you gonna...
Grigor.
Yes. Grigor. Sweet little bi boy.
Yeah. He's, honestly, yeah.
You know what? I take it back. He might be pan.
That's true. Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure.
Niobe is bi.
Yes. And nervous around every single gender.
It's true. I regret to say that Xenia is straight.
Yeah. She's like aggressively straight.
She really is. But that's okay. I forgive her. Because she looks very hot in that last outfit. Like, go play the game. You'll agree with me.
But anyway, basically, we feel there could be a lot of gay representation.
Yeah. We agree. They're there.
If they had actually put a little thought into doing it.
This is where I would put the gay representation I got in the Nancy Drew games. If I had any.
Okay, so since we're in meme territory, I think we're wrapping up.
Yeah, it's true. So, yeah, that's what we have to say about queer representation in the Nancy Drew games and the lack thereof. Mm-hmm. If you guys would like to tell us your queer headcanons or just what you think about the episode, but understand that if you're going to say hateful things, I'm immediately going to block you.
It's going to mean absolutely nothing to us, so...
Exactly. So, but let us know for the other things, your headcanons, on our Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter? And our fancy website, krolmeistersisters.knifefightclub.com. Discord! That was another one.
Yeah.
I think I said Twitter twice.
Come on, folks. You can also find us on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Spotify. And in then our places, you can, you could talk about us, preferably, rather than, maybe the show, rather than the individual episode, because that...
Or just, rate us, you don't
rate
have
us.
To comment.
You can totally rate.
Be like, 5 stars. These sisters really know what they're talking about. We don't, though.
We don't.
But if
We
you
know
would like to
nothing.
support us, you could subscribe to us on Twitch to get access to our numerous emotes, Podcast Night VODs, and the backer channel on our Discord. Or you can subscribe to us over on patreon.com/Krolmeister Sisters to get access to Podcast Night VODs, backer channel on our Discord, stream cat pictures, and you can even tell us what to talk about.
What?
I know. So, as a reminder, I'm Risa.
I'm Ariana.
And we're the Krolmeister Sisters, and we're asking you guys to stay sleuthy.
She forgot what she was gonna say, y'all.